This is Jupiter night and Jupiter hour. And we have midheaven 26 degrees Leo ascendant, I believe ruled by Jupiter. And this is a good time to remind us all that, well, the way that jurisdiction has been done so far, Jupiter rules law and justice, is going to be purged, because if that way was benefic for those who had the might or had the power, that is being purged by now. And we are reiterated of the case in France where a woman was basically drugged and assaulted many times in cooperation with hospital, okay? And the woman does not lose, okay? That happens in France, and that marks the ingress of Pluto to Aquarius, while Uranus is still on Beta Persei. People were used to the jurisdiction that oppresses, and that is no longer, okay? People were used to put the injustice that they did on others. That will no longer. It is exactly these cults that go kind of like the light way and the dark way and put that on others. That is exactly what will not go. All those inversions of magic, all those malefic uses of magic. And you may have been seeing that being purged from, if you are targeted by that, especially all those hidden things. Okay, people think they're going to be doing the same old witch hunt, all that dumbfuckery. No, because we are not in the same system. And what is purged is the hidden cults, and MK Ultra is a part of these hidden cults, okay? And that is what is being purged. So all those who saw a window of opportunity, last chance they have to cause you any harm upon the Pluto ingress, and you're genuinely innocent. So all of their old ways in which they used against people, okay, whether it's human trafficking, you have to understand, anybody that tries to confiscate your ability to work in spirit and in matter by psychological violence, spiritual violence, all these things, they are contributing, they are hand in hand with human trafficking. No sex work exists, it's only human trafficking. Okay, watch the makeup videos. You'll see what I see. And all those people at the junctures of healing and help, okay, be it welfare, psychologists, psychiatrists, even some tarot readers and holistic healers, okay, that have been under this MK Ultra umbrella, even the red umbrella, okay, that supposedly works for defense of whatnot. It's not. And all of that is being purged. And the resources that they try to confiscate, you got to see it very clearly. A person that endured trauma, they have both claustrophobia, so they can't be in closed space, and agoraphobia, so they can't be in open space like those very ordered, misdar, or kind of like where people stand for hours and so, like, they can't be in that. So this is not, so any curation of trauma has to include settings and structures that are compatible with people who cope with agoraphobia and the claustrophobia. Funnily enough, this is exactly what we need for healthy living, okay? Not too much in the crowd and not too closed off. And access to actual nature. And all those courses that are done against this real estate and that, they backfire. This is the time where everything is exposed. No longer can people hide under a masquerade of MK Ultra and fear that if a person talks about it, they will be hospitalized for being crazy. No longer, if a person talks about MK Ultra, will their resources be confiscated, or their driving license, or their bank account. On the other way around, this is a time where when you tend to the MK Ultra, when you tend to the actual problem, now you're getting the benefit of Pluto ingressing into Aquarius. Because now you're tending to that which was global government from the get-go, and all the malefic magic sent towards you from MK Ultra or anybody affiliated, personal or impersonal, backfires. And all that injustices backfires. Okay, we change the notion of justice to be in favor of the person. All of the way that people have used power, organizational power, whether global or local, okay, because the pyramidal structure is global. And the way that that structure has been used against the individual, against the person, against the will and consent, the healthy sexual energy. You don't teach a lesson by torturing people. Okay? That is being purged from the earth, because we are ushered to golden ages, and all the malefic magic around this backfires, whether it's sent from the Vatican or it's sent from a person from Ekwelt. And so people might think that upon this, that they had this window of opportunity, that now is the last chance, it backfires. The more they try, the more they die. And this is the time where they die humanely, because it's the guillotine, but they will be on the guillotine. Those who send these things, they will be on the guillotine. Those who contribute to human trafficking of children, of people, of women, of refugees, okay, those people will be on the guillotine. That's it. This evening, okay, in about, 20 hours, Pluto is ingressing into Aquarius. All the way people thought they're going to collapse the system and then snatch people to human trafficking, okay? What actually is going to happen is that they are going to be on the guillotine. And the people that were threatened, that have already been dealing with that for decades, now have a name, and the name is called MK Ultra. The name is called ritual abuse. The name is called mind control. And have a motive to confiscate possession, to confiscate real estate from the individual. This will no longer go. No pyramidal structure. Pyramidal structures are global. So all those pyramidal structures, they try to get global by hanging on some of the people, to sacrifice some of their people. They are also being purged, okay? Not a doubt. And people stop believing. They stop believing even in those religions, those who represent religion and teach hate. They stop believing in them. There's a beautiful song, Nein, meine Söhne geb ich nicht, by Reinhard May, and there's a new version of it, which is conjoining a couple of people, saying, I teach my children not to hate, but I will teach my children to disobey. We don't give those children that are, again, if those children that are, doing human trafficking and just seek every chance to profit off of a person, to confiscate the liberty of a person, they will begin to be murdered en masse in the war. And they will begin to be murdered en masse. Okay, it's both the conjoining of 1939 to 1941 and the French Revolution, the American Revolution. Okay, anybody that has been on the line of human trafficking, that has been shaming women for having gone through such torture that it affected their sexuality and calling them whores, These people are going to be on the guillotine, not these women. And per all cultures, the cultures that understand that, they will survive. The cultures that don't understand that, nobody cares about the word culture. Okay, if you misbehave to women, to children, nobody's gonna care about the word culture. If you think that there is some lesson in raping someone, then you are on the guillotine. This is a time where we align with, why did we have the guillotine? Because the guillotine invention was more humane way to kill offenders that come to torture people and come to confiscate the right and the liberty and the identity. The Cold War veterans get their justice. Those that were MK Ultra'd, that were mind controlled, they get their justice. They're not going to be silenced anymore. At first, it took them 50 years to get to be acknowledged as PTSD, because that was already something that's not just physical. So people were afraid that we'll begin to acknowledge the emotional, the psychological, the psychic. Now it's being acknowledged, and all the witch hunt that they try to do to divert that. No, those that were doing the witch hunt, they will be on the guillotines. All the people that were framing, if a person got out of corruption and stood against corruption, that were framing that person, man or woman, those people will be on the guillotine. What people thought was the last window of opportunity to curse, okay? To curse people, innocent people, that just wanted to live without corruption. Then what happens essentially is that those people that thought it's a window of opportunity for doing inversions of benefic magic and inversions of self-defense against human trafficking, against corruption, against mind control, against the MK Ultra, those people are going to be on the guillotine. If you saw this is a night, the last night that we have with Pluto still in Capricorn, and that's a window of opportunity to finally to do them away, to push away the karma that is coming basically to you for doing all these malefic things, and you thought you teach someone a lesson by this, especially a person that only looks to have structures that are just, that are containing, that are fair, that are also given the gift of grace, that curate all this Masonic fertility, betrayal curses, fertility curses, rape curses, okay, framing curses of what they did to Medusa Gorgon, okay, of what they did to Eliza. If people thought that they have a window of opportunity here, what they actually, you had a window of opportunity, but yet that window of opportunity was to change and correct your ways before the Pluto ingress, before the last phase of karma. And if you try to take that window of opportunity and steal the last day of Pluto in Capricorn, try to use it against, okay, for these women that speak up, for these Cold War veterans that speak up, for these people to go against ritual abuse, then you are going to end up on the guillotine. And you can only blame yourself. You can only blame yourself. Yes, people thought they were going to have, what did I say? Shili. I am Shili, right? What did I say about the B-sextile? What did I say? I say that there was going to be an attempt to control for the revolution Uranus, okay, and espionage. What other things can be? Exposure of how espionage works, Neptune, Pluto, and changing, revolutionizing, okay, for the old structures. This is what I mean, that the dumb fuckery collapses. The structures is not just physical structures, but mind control structures. They are collapsing. They don't become viral and global as they thought. It's the people that they thought to send as whistleblowers that are not really whistleblowers, and revolutionaries that are not really revolutionaries. They're gonna be finding themselves talking and exposing MK Ultra. As nothing can be done about this. Those who thought that they are going to expose one pedo ring, another pedo ring, one industry, another industry, and then we're going to continue the dumb fuckery in another masquerade, okay? Those people will have to talk about MK Ultra, and they will not be able to discredit testimonials. They will not be able to discredit people that dealt with corruption, that dealt with problems to their house, and you will not be able to discredit that with colonialism. No, you were colonized because you did that to your other tribes, or even to white people. You will not be able to discredit that by origin, by stay in your lane, by culture. No, if your culture includes rape, then you don't have a culture. You don't have anything. You lost the mandate over the land, the air, the water, the everything. If you murder souls of people and that's in your culture, kaput al gol. There's no hiding behind religion, culture, anything, or one world religion as well. If your one world religion includes rape, if your one world religion includes violence towards people, if your one world religion includes, if your one world government includes control and surveillance, then it already lost mandate over the land, over the air, over the water, over the fire, before it even, over the soil, or before it even began. And no curse, no thing, anything you try to do backfires against you. The curation for trauma, whether it's war trauma or any trauma, is structure that allows both to have your privacy and to go out to nature, not to be among too many crowds, and not to be claustrophobic either, even if that structure is hospital or jail, because the objective is to curate, okay? And this is both above and below. So naturally the structures below that are claustrophobic, okay? So no longer. The caves for the children or the ritual abuse, no longer. The monasteries, no longer. The cult structure that doesn't allow the right to exit, right? And is claustrophobic, is controlling with covenants, with curses, with this, with that, to its members, cease to exist. It doesn't have any hold on humanity whatsoever. The perpetual work structure, whether within families, within individuals, within states, within the global state, this ceases to exist. The cessation of property for a person, that all the crime was that they got out of violence, the right to exit. That the framing of them, the psychiatric tagging of them, what is the cure for schizophrenia? Okay? Housing first, that is open and allowing for to close the door, for to open the door. For to go to nature at any time of the day and night, for to come back. For to travel, for to grow food, for to have food that is actually nourishing. And to be believed, for the testimonial to be believed. That's the curation for schizophrenia, where people hear voices, see sights, have identities, personalities. That's the curation. That's what works. Not the pyramidal or extra pyramidal. Those were class lawsuits after class lawsuits on the olanzapine. And this is where we're going to have a big financial crisis, because all of these people that are invested in human trafficking, in confiscation of people's property, that have their bonds set on people be taken away from their habitat or from good habitat, put into jails, put into hospitals for no fucking reason, being tagged psychiatrically, being tagged psychotic if they speak about MK Ultra and genuine surveillance that happened since the Cold War and the veterans of the Cold War have been dealing with. Those people that were invested in that, whether it's the drugs, whether it's the hospitals, whether it's the so-called funds that so-called help people but actually jail them for all causes, those bonds tank. Okay? So if you're invested in that, if you've been laser invested in real estate, okay, and you thought that that was leverage, don't expect that to survive. Those are the financial crises. This is what happens upon the ingress of Pluto to Aquarius. It's not just the governmental structures. It's those things. Okay, so no longer will you be able to confiscate people's right to be on the land. Locally and internationally. If you have a building that a person cannot live with if they have claustrophobia and agoraphobia, the building is demolished. Because now all people have that, right? What happens with perpetual trauma? All people have that. So it's 9/11 on human trade. And all of those who thought that that's what they're going to do with the ingress, the other way around. Those who thought to make small the steps of people who recover from violence, be it MK Ultra or whatever, those people might end up on the guillotine. If they don't stop, and if they took this chance, they thought it's window of opportunity to finish, okay, people who all their crime was that they live and say no to corruption. And those people who do that, who still try to do that now, okay, they're on the guillotine. There will be no sacrifice of the people that all the crime was that they want to live without corruption. If your family values include rape, you don't have a family. You have a cult. And cults, c'est tout. Voilà, expiration date for cults. It's an expiration date for cults. If the members of your family, of your tribe, of your country, okay, of the world, are being oppressed, being raped, being tortured, being assaulted in spirit or in matter, it means you grow in cult, and all cults are exposed. That's it. If you go against women because they are women, you're gonna end up on the guillotine. You don't like women, leave them alone. You don't have to like women. Maybe you had a trauma with a woman. Leave a woman alone. But if you try to haunt her, to persecute her, just because she exists, you don't teach her a lesson. You teach yourself how to be hanged in the air. And you have to also understand those people that are alive now, okay, today, that have gone to this corruption, you try to kill them, you try to curse them, okay? They were looking to have assisted suicide. They were looking to have death. They were looking like, you think you scare them with the guillotine, okay? You think that you are scaring them. You're not scaring them. They were seeking to end it, but they came to this world with a mission, and that mission has to do to abolish for those human traffickers and slave traders. And it doesn't matter the color. You can have a young abolishing slavery, and you can have person from Kenya or Congo trying to instill slavery, thinking they teach somebody a lesson. You don't teach nobody a lesson. You teach yourself to be hanged on a guillotine, black or white. Slavery is not a lesson. Rape is not a lesson. Love is a lesson. And it doesn't matter if you go by Jesus or you go by Muhammad or you go by atheism. It doesn't matter. Torture is not a lesson. Love is a lesson. And even for when we talk about guillotine, because it's or something similar, this most humane death, we talk about gas chamber, we talk about the sarcophag thingy, okay, that within 1 minute the person falls asleep and die. Talk about humane death. Nobody is going to bring torture upon torturers, inquisition upon inquisitions. No, none of that. It's to end those practices of torture, of the inversion of anything, whether it's heuristics, whether it's jail, whether it's hospital, whether it's upbringing, okay, growing family, whether it's relationships. And again, if a person understands this now, so they don't suffer karma, okay? If you understand, let's say you did torture in the past, so many people, all the politicians had to torture. They could not survive, okay, without going into that. But if they stop this now, and they got it, okay, and they take advantage of the window of opportunity to get out of these structures, then they won't suffer the karma. They won't be persecuted. You can correct your ways. At any given time, you can correct your ways. Nobody's there. Nobody's after you, okay? Even if you cursed, even if it is, nobody's after you. But you have to correct your ways. You can't, okay, keep doing that and expect not to be hanged in the air. And it's more humane for you because what the cult will do to you is worse. You think that the people that are operating against MK Ultra now are some gold diggers? Well, no, they're people that suffered for generations of trauma, and they understand that they came here to abolish that, and that's it. And this is why they didn't. Some of them tried to kill themselves. I know. Okay, Shirley, had a friend that was abused by family, slept in doorways and stuff like that. A couple of weeks ago, I asked her, tell me, if you have a way to end your life, please tell me. Don't deny that to people, because I know you only managed to go through because you have a way to end your life, and she didn't have. So just so you see how the people that are saying MK Ultra right now, those people, many of them have already wished that. Some of them tried to manifest for their own death to just get out of this. And so they were kept alive because they are abolishing these practices. That's why they were kept alive, because they're the witnesses and they're the people that act to change that, and they understand what this MK Ultra is and how it's connected to the covenants and how it's connected to the curses that people curse themselves in the cults, and how these cults are pyramidal structures, and how what the actual cure for schizophrenia is not to discredit but to actually believe the person, and what the structures that they have to be compatible with. Both people have claustrophobia and agoraphobia, and they know all, like they have the knowledge, they have the wisdom. Even if they want to hang themselves today, it's impossible. It will be not allowed for them to do that. So you think they should give up? Not only they do not give up, they have given up decades ago, but were not allowed to give up on abolishing these type of practices. Those 20 years, but before that, today and tomorrow, this is a part of why they have been kept alive against their wish. For most people that are alive right now, the survived MK Ultra, the survived mind control, the survived hospitalization, the survived being tagged and framed, right now, when they exist right now, most of their life it was kept against their wish. So you think you threaten them with human trafficking, you threaten them with this, you don't know. These people lived entire lives sometimes 40 years old, sometimes 60 years old, against their wish. Because their job in the world was to end these practices. And those people, they look you dead in the eye. They don't care if you come from an African tribe, from a Muslim tribe, from an elite society, from an American, for the black and the blue, and the red and the blue and the whatnot. They don't care. They see through all of this. All of this Masonic teeter-tatter, all this chessboard, like all this symbolism that meant to keep slavery on. They see through all this and they came to abolish this. You can't stand there, okay, if you're a black person, you can't stand there thinking you can do all the things that are torture, that are human trafficking, that are slavery, thinking that you're gonna be clean from that because you're black. No. You go down together with everyone that did that on the guillotine. That's the meaning of you climbing the mountain, if that's how you climb the mountain. Unless you join to abolish that, regardless of origin, culture, or whatnot. There is no justice and no righteousness and no balance, not of Libra and not of Libra, of the scales that put slavery from one cup of the scales to another. That is not justice, that is a cult. And all cults right now are abolished. And you think that the people that you're dealing with, because they have a name a Jungblood, or have a white skin, or have a black skin, or have I don't know what, have this nationality, that nationality, okay? You think that the people that talk of MK Ultra right now that are alive, you think that those people were alive because they're gold diggers, because they're this, because no, they're alive mostly against their wish. They tried every which way that is dignity, end of life, that they would not go and then you try to end your life and you end up alive, okay? It was genuinely, and it didn't work, and you ask, why am I alive? Why am I alive? Why am I alive? And that's the answer. Because they came to do this. And they're not looking the way you expected them to look. It's not the Palestinian person finally avenges the thing. It's like, hey, the Palestinian person hates the guts of the watermelons because they have been doing that to people. They have been tagging people as crazy when they wanted to come out of violence and then crying colonialism. Well, that's something that's done all across the board, and the creation of division of races is artificial. We have lodges for black people, we have lodges for women, and they have to do the same thing with the lodges. The same human sacrifice, the same practices that are now abolished from the face of the earth. And all the attempts to push something against, don't use, okay, that's messing with people that since the day that they were born, they were targeted and they didn't have a name for it. And you also, you know, how should I say it? If you've been wronged and the righting you is righting you, it's not wrong in another, okay? If you've been wrong, to make it right for you is not wrong in another. But if you try to keep people in hurt, thinking that you are teaching them a lesson, or thinking that this is the teeter-tatter, it's been done to me and I will do this to you, first of all, you don't know who you're meeting. And what was done to them. And if this is the way you see justice, that's being purged right now as well. That's not there's no place for that in Golden Ages. Very simply put. To put more injustice on people that suffered decades of injustice, it's not going to go. If you think raping someone else is your liberation, but that person didn't rape you and doesn't support rape at all, then it's not your liberation, it's your confiscation. Then if you don't end up on the guillotine, you better end up on the guillotine if you think like that, because otherwise you will end up on the cross. And it's humane for somebody to defend themselves on you and say, let that person die humane, okay, whether it's a small gas chamber like the one that killed you within a minute, okay, not what they did to the Holocaust. whether it's guillotine, whether it's death with dignity, and those things that they wish, okay, is because they wish the death upon themselves, and they had no access to that because they came here to do something, and that is to abolish for the reason that they were suicidal. And that's the MK Ultra. That's the mind control. That's the confiscation of the right to liberty. That's the structures that are constricting and pyramidal rather than, okay, open and allowing for life to grow and protective of life. So you think you are messing with, I don't know, people that were fed, you know, like with a spoon or something like that, or you teach them all of a sudden, I was poor, now you're going to be poor. No. That line of thought is compatible with slavery. We are at the time in history we abolish slavery and we abolish femicide. If you were a woman that's supporting, if you're the type of woman say, oh, they should be hospitalized, they should be they should be tortured under the guise of medicine, my darling, take your words back, take your action back, because this is last day you're gonna have the opportunity. Last day you're gonna have the opportunity to put harm on another woman, even if you are a woman, black or white, rich or poor. If the cult became inclusive, then the abolishing of the cult is inclusive. If you have black people in a lodge sacrificing people, we don't care about their wars with other lodges. Because they're not going to be on the account of the simple people that just want to live, that when they do science, it's science. When they do medicine, it's medicine. When they do singing, it's singing. Okay, if I grew up on rap culture, because my parents hated electric guitars, and I make music, it will be what I grew up on, right? Just like if I grew up on Liedermachine, it will be what I grew up on. And you cannot hide beneath any of those, okay, lineage, ancestry, whatnot. Like some of these people say, okay, some of your ancestors enslaved people, even though they were black. They enslaved white. Some of your ancestors were human trafficking, were domestic violence. You can't hide under my ancestry told me so, or the God told me so. You can tend to the MK Ultra. You can tend to the mind control. You can say, yes, I said something about sucking this, sucking that, because MK Ultra. You can say, and this is your window of opportunity to say that. Because otherwise you are a human trafficker that's recruiting people to human trafficking. It's not sex work. It's MK Ultra, it's torture. Red umbrella. What's the red in the red umbrella? It's Rothschild, right? And it's not devil's work like the church say. It is MK Ultra under the guise of satanic church. None of those things are going to go. None of them. Not in the astral, not in the astral, going to be exposed. Hey, if you try to assault somebody and that person's recording, so that person exposes you. Give you the gift of grace. Here is how to begin to curate from trauma. You try to get them at their sleep, to have window of opportunity to curse the person. No, it backfires. The more you try to send people, whether they're Orthodox Jews or Muslims or blacks or whites, Your entire web is exposed. And that exposed because people are not buying that racism shit anymore. You have racism between you. Yeah, you have racism between you, but nobody fucking cares when you are enslaving others, when you're controlling others, when you do human trafficking. Nobody cares whose race is doing that, right? Because anyways, so a black person rapes by the command of a white person. That's what happened. Everybody knows that. So they're gonna take down the black person and the white person. They all end up on the guillotine, because if you thought rape is okay, you're gonna end up in that gas chamber. Okay, that 1 minute gas chamber. It's death with dignity. It's better than